what Parslow and Conway to say. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Whole day we are calling for Parslow and Clinton Conway. They teach and educating, exposing the things in the system. We need a better Guyana for the little boys and the children poor. Slow and Clinton Conway.
All the money they get, 2.2 billion.
Hear me when I sing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh.
And they would have gotten
Guyanese at home and abroad. Please log into Conway as wide as it can reach. Paul Slow, you always will preach. Oh, yeah, yeah. Like and share, subscribe. Hit the notification bell so this message could reach as far, and every Guyanese will feel well. Oh yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. Paul Slow and Clinton Conway. Paul and Conway, every day.
all the money they get, 2.2.
Give me faith, oh Jah, I pray, oh Lord, to face another day. Oh, Lord, give me strength to face another day. Carry on life's road, carry on my load. Give me strength, oh Jah, to carry on. Oh, my Lord, oh, Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. Please tell me when I've been. All help for it is past and all help for years to go, without whom I could not be. When you're trying to lead you out of your life, but I wouldn't be so unwise. And so I promise to serve thee, oh my Lord, and I beg thee some mercy. Lord, give me strength to face another day, journey along life's road, carry my heavy load. Give me strength, oh Jah, to carry on. Oh my Lord, life has become a burden, living in this evil system. Oh Jah, please strengthen me. I cannot make it alone, I need you as my own. Oh Jah, I call on thee. Some are trying to lead you out of your life, or I wouldn't be so unwise. And so I promise to serve thee with all my all, and I beg thee some mercy. Lord, give me strength to face another day, to make it along life's road, to carry on my load. Give me strength, oh Jah, to carry on. Oh my Lord.
Good morning, all you students of Speaking Out, exposing corruption and incompetence. Welcome to another episode. Welcome to another episode. Hope you had a fantastic weekend. Hope you're looking forward to a productive week. Hope you are really motivated to be productive in this new week, in the months ahead and in the years ahead. So welcome, one and all. It is indeed a pleasure to be here. Today is Monday, the 29th day of June in the year of our Lord 2026. Another great day that the Lord has made. Let's rejoice and be glad in it. Let's give praise and thanks to being in the land of the living. It is a privilege to be in the land of the living, and we should never, ever take that for granted. Never take it for granted. It's only because of his mercies that we are here this morning. So therefore, give praise, give thanks, and to be in the land of the living. And as my colleague would have said, be good to be in the land of the living to do God's work. So we are going to continue along that trend, continue to do God's work. I am going to continue to do the work. I'm going to continue to come here to tell you the truth, to bring you credible, valuable information that you're not likely to get any place else. So yes, join. And for that reason, you should share, let them know that we are on. If you have not yet subscribe to the channel to assist the channel to grow. When you subscribe, if you want to get notification, just hit that notification button and you are going to be notified when anything is posted on the channel. So yes, good to be in the land of the living. Today, June the 29th. The month is almost at the end. So those of you who had aspirations to be a June bride or a June bridegroom, if you have not succeeded as yet, you just have today and tomorrow. As I said to you, if you don't have a partner that you are serious about, go to the wedding planner. The wedding planner has a reputation. He will find you the partner. You will arrange for the wedding. The last one we know of, it had $8.5 million to arrange the wedding for Brutus. So therefore, go to that wedding planner, and maybe you are going to be successful. As I said, the man will find you a partner if you don't have a partner. He will find you a partner. So welcome to this episode. Like every day, I have so much to tell you about this morning. So much. And just to say that when I scheduled the program at precisely 9 this morning, there was you're going to notice just now, I'm going to do the roll call and announce those who are in here for the first minute. And you will get to see how many of you were here within that first minute. So it pleases me to see people just mulling up 2 hours before we go live. Once the school gates are open, people are there piling in to come and to hear. I must be doing something right for you to give of your precious time to come and to listen to what I have to say. I know it's credible, valuable information, right? It's a professional analysis of these issues that you want to get between the lines, because they're right, and they obfuscate and they dance between the lines. I am going to come and reveal all of those things. So welcome. Let me now go to acknowledge all those who came in early. And the first person here listed is Kurt. After Kurt, it is Janella. Then Peter, Richard, John, Claire, Anthony Bradshaw, Peter's All in the East Bank of Demerara, Ricky Smith, Evelyn, Ivor, and this is Ivor Cancinali, Aubrey, and Aubrey is all the way from Canada, 1953, I think his number was. Then we have Marcia. Danny is here with us. Winston is all the way from California. Nicola, Wayne, Raul, 11752, Felicia, Ulrich is here. Ulrich, 83, 85 now, yeah, Ulrich is here. Then it's Mary, Compton, Fergus, Puran from the Essequibo Coast. The Angel is here with us. Negla. After Negla, we have listed Dennis. Then Denise. And then it is Sean, Brian, Patrick, all the way from the UK. Edward, Moses, Ivor. This is the next Ivor. This is the next Ivor Miller. He is from Georgia. Then we have Dexter. After Dexter, Jacko, sometime last week or so, he was from Corriverton, but now he is back in Georgia. Then Courtney, another Saul is here. Then Udelan, Shavani, Rosalind, Willow is here. Chilo came early this morning. Doreen is from Canada, my squad mate. W349, Vibert, and this is Vibert White, and from the East Bank. Norville, Hazel. Then we have Jackie is here with us. Then this is Lincoln. After Lincoln, we have Grantley. This is the next Saul. Victor, Albert. Then it's Royston. Clarence, and the list goes on and on. And then when I open the school doors, those are people who came into the gate. When we open the school doors, so those in the Facebooker, let me see how they file into the classroom or how they are listed. The first person listed here, let me see, the first person listed is Lennox, then Rosie Rose. After that is Aries Youth, then Trifosa is here, Claire, Deborah, Pam, where's them? Then Joan, New Amsterdam, Commissioner Cole is here with us, Carlton Popo, Marina, Junior, Tony, then we have Clarence, Jason, Lorelli, Colvis, this is Glenton, Lynette from the UK, Beverly, So True, Hector is here, and the list goes on. Joan, and who else? Let me see who's the next person. This is Emerson, is this today with Yvonne, and the list goes on and on. So welcome, and congratulations to those of you who came in early and were acknowledged. So let me go to the announcements now. You know we're going to start. You have been here long enough to know that I'm going to start by telling you, give you the count on the number of days since Sergeant Alex Vaughn was shot and killed. Today is 841 days, 80841, which equates to 2 years and 111 days since Police Sergeant Vaughn was shot and killed. And apart from the initial report, there has been the Song of Silence. Song of Silence is who I were, Simon and Garfunkel. Huh? I think it was Simon and Garfunkel at that the Song of Silence, or if you want the movie Silence of the Lambs, that is what we have had. And then that incident took place around March 12, 2024. So they can count and tell me that they're wrong. And then it has been 645 days. 645 days since the son of the minister, Taba Marshal Ali Kak, struck and killed Salima Irlal. That incident, that fatal accident took place on the 29th of September 2024. Police investigated, file sent to the DPP. DPP recommended a charge of causing death by dangerous driving. File went to the prosecutors to proceed. The commissioner, Ikin, it is alleged, sent for the file, and that is the last we heard of it. That's the last. And today is 79 days since this, the other son, I understand this one is the biological son, took the government vehicle. This was on around April the 12th, took the vehicle, damaged the vehicle, drove into the trench along Vicington Road, and President said, the minister did not intervene. The traffic chief issued a statement. We ain't hearing anything more. We are not hearing. And I'm gonna make the connection with that and the incident on Saturday at the stadium. I'm going to make that connection. So listen out and tell others. Let them come. Let others come on. And let me go to some announcements. We told you about the death of the. I told you about the death of Otis Brisport. They had a memorial service on the Friday the 26th. There's Friday gone. I suspect that the funeral service will be announced later. The memorial service was in New York, and nothing is said about the burial. So I suspect that is going to be down the road. I also told you about the death of former Corporal Caesar Adams, 5632. I understand that he died in Canada. No further information on that as yet. Cheryl McCalmont, wife of retired Sergeant Derek McCalmont. She was also the supervisor at the police daycare. She died, I think it was Friday, and no funeral arrangements as yet. I'm going to update you on that. Then for BV people, we told you of the death of I sent Patricia Rodney. We knew her as Sintikoya. She died, and the funeral will be on July 6th. I'm going to give you information about that, more information about that later. And then last night, BV, oh my God, man, we got to do something, Villagers, we got to do something. Last night, I learned of the death of Christy Harris. Christopher Harris, known as Christy Harris, died last night. Christy was 90. I think he celebrated his 90th birthday last year. But BV people, we got to do something, man. We got to chase the Grim Reaper out of the village. We have had so many deaths in the past month or so. We have got to do something about it. So Christy died last night. More information will follow later. And, you know, this morning, just about an hour ago, I learned of Stella McNeil. Now, the name might be unfamiliar to all of you, most of you. But you all know we have a loyal student by the name of Barled. Everybody knows he has Barled. Well, he's McNeil. Stella McNeil was the mother of Barled. She died last night at the ripe age of 90. Right? We spoke this morning, and he informed me of that. So Barled's mother is dead. And you know, only recently it was observed that Barled is not in the classroom early as he used to be. Over the past 2 weeks or so, he has not been in the classroom as early as he used to be. And I guess his mother wasn't doing well, and he was spending time with her. So Barled's mother died. And, you know, just to we tell you about all these accidents, all these fatal accidents. Fatal accident, they're not doing anything. I understand they had some seminar or some consultation last week. I'm going to deal with that on another episode. Over the weekend, more fatal accidents. It has been reported that an Essequibo man was killed after some alleged drunk driver knocked him off his bike. Some alleged drunk driver knocked him off his bike. The man died on the Essequibo coast. And then last night, I don't think this is in the news as yet, but last night I saw a video where they said that two men were killed by a suspected hit-and-run accident at Clanbrook on the east coast of Demerara. This happened last night. I saw the video circulating there with the bodies on the road. And what they're going to do, they're going to come and tell you thoughts and prayers. To the minister and them, tint is more important. But as we said, they are not addressing the main issues. So you had those deaths. 3 over the weekend that I know of. 3 that I know of. The one on the Essequibo coast and the 2 last night on the east coast. 3 deaths. 3. And then who would remember? Oscar Benjamin. You might know Oscar Benjamin. Oscar B. from Byron Lee and the Dragonaires fame. Oscar B. passed away yesterday morning. He was from Tobago. He's a Tobagonian, and he was ill, and he passed away yesterday morning. And coincidentally, the cultural community had organized what they call a fundraising concert for Oscar B. to be held yesterday. Last night the concert was to be held, and he passed away yesterday morning, Oscar B. I will pay some tribute to him a little later. Then we also learned of the death of former West Indies cricketer Charlie Davis. Charlie Davis back in the 70s. Charlie Davis, a Trinidadian. We had Charlie Davis, Brian Davis, Joey Carew, Prince Bartholomew, Bernard Julian, the other Rodriguez. You had those people, De Souza, and all those people playing cricket. So Charlie Davis passed away recently. And I learned too of the death of David Clayton Thomas. Again, there's a name you might not be familiar with, David Clayton Thomas, but he was a lead singer in the group Blood, Sweat, and Tears. The older people like Ivor and them will remember Porcy, Blood, Sweat, and Tears, BS&T. And when I had a Corporal Jackson to tell us today will be BS and FT. Blood, Sweat, and he put in the adjective before tears. When you hear Jackson come out there, today is BS and FT, right? You used to tremble in your boots as a youngster. So David Clayton Thomas died on the 24th of June at the age of 84, right? And Charlie Davis, coming back to Charlie Davis, them men were said, Charlie Davis and some others, Peter Lashley from Barbados and those people, were reputed to be Shell Shield bosses, Shell Shield was the inter-region 4-day trophy. He was known as Shell Shield. And Charlie Davis and them men in that Shell Shield. But somehow they didn't make the expected transition to the test level. Charlie did play quite a few test matches, but I don't think the Peter from Barbados, but they men used to boss 4-day cricket, regional cricket Shell Shield. They used to boss Shell Shield. So condolences to the relatives and friends of all those deceased person. Right, Easton McMorris from Jamaica, he was a boss too. Peter Lashley from Barbados. Easton McMorris from Jamaica. Easton played, Easton McMorris played test cricket eventually. And I remember well, I think it was against India. He out for 99. I always remember that listening on the radio, Easton Morris facing up to Abid Ali or one of them little medium pacer. He was on 99. He tried to run the ball down to Tordman, I think, and he dragged it onto his thumb. Easton McMorris, right? So you had some champions, You had some Shell Shield bully, as Winston said there. Yeah. Well, Carling Best was much later. Carling Best then in them era. No? Carling Best they come much later. We talking about in the late 60s and 70s, Sean. We talking about the 60s and 70s when I now start to watch cricket as a little boy. Yeah? Charlie Davis, Brian Davis, Joey Carew, and them men from Trinidad, right? Yeah, Maurice Foster, Easton McMorris, Maurice Foster. Yeah, them men around that period there. When you come to that 4-day cricket, them men pile on. A man who y'all mentioned, Jamaican, Renford Pinnock, the wicketkeeper. Renford Pinnock, the wicketkeeper. Where somebody said the 99 was Maurice Foster. I got it mixed up. Thanks, Dudley. The 99 out was Maurice Foster, another Jamaican. And this is a Jamaican reminding me that was the Eastern Mark. You're correct. Maurice Foster, 99, used to bat and used to bowl a little optimistic thing and so on, right? So I have a Rowe coming along after them people, man. Lawrence Rowe was in the 70s. Rowe come with Kalicharan and them, man. Look, are you record, When you talk about cricket in the mid to late 60s onward, that's the time I started to follow cricket. I saw my first test match, 1968, at Border, England versus the West Indies. I was able to see people like Sobers and Wesall. I think that was one of the last test match for Wesall or them people, man. Cricket was cricket, right? Cricket was cricket. Bartholomew was a pace bowler, man. Prince Bartholomew from Trinidad was a pace bowler. He was a pace bowler. Because the bowling then, Trinidad wasn't known to have pace bowlers. But it's Bartholomew, Prince Bartholomew, and Bernard Julian. Right? Bernard Julian. So let me move on, because I want to talk towards cricket at this stage. But let me go on to tell you about some other activities, sporting activities that is, and then we're going to come back. Another man there in the police lockup. So we're going to come. First of all, before I go further, let me express condolences to the relatives and friends of those deceased persons. And may God give you the good strength, especially the accident victims. It's not easy, for you have a family who is sprightly and healthy, leave to go for something, then the next thing you hear that they're dead. 2 men struck and killed on the East Coast at Clanbrook last night. That is what you have. The thing is a regular occurrence. It's a regular occurrence, but we should not normalize it. We should not normalize it. Right? Now again, oh Lord, Carl, West Indies was no powerhouse in the 60s. Carl said West Indies was a powerhouse in the 60s. No, sir. West Indies was no powerhouse in the 60s. West Indies became the powerhouse when Clive Lloyd, that is post 1975-76, when they lost that series in Australia 5-1, right? 4-1 rather, was a 4-match, 5-match, 4-1. So in the 60s, in the mid-60s and so on, the West Indies had no powerhouse. Even in the early 70s, when India came to the West Indies and beat me for the first time. You ever hear Gavaskar, the Rail Master? Even New Zealand came down there and give you a rough time. So we wasn't no powerhouse then. Australia came down in 73 and cut with tail, right? England came down in 74. I can't remember how that series ended, but we were not. Then Lloyd went to Australia, 75, 76, and we won the test at Perth with Fredericks, that blistering 169, and Dennis Straley, Jeff Thompson, and them, and we lost the other test matches. And then when we came back, when Light came back to the West Indies after the 76 series, they decided, hey, Light said, let me revamp this whole thing. And he restructured the team, and he brought in that four-prong attack, that famous four-prong attack, and then we start to dominate. Then we start to dominate in the early 80s going forward. Yeah, so yes. All right, let me move on. Cricket, we continue the same theme cricket. I was so disappointed. I think it was Friday or Saturday when it was. Well, West Indies women lost that game against Ireland. They were if they had beaten Ireland, they would have been straight into the semi-final. But they're lucky. They're lucky because in the next game between England and between Australia, I think it was, and New Zealand was beaten. And therefore, the 6 points that West Indies had remain the second best point in that group. Right? So they are now through to the semi-finals. I'm not sure when that is going to be played, but they should have won that game. They won the first 3 games, and then they lost the remaining games, right? And then we have, and I got to show you all this, man. I got to show you all this. Kemar Roach yesterday, West Indies defeated Sri Lanka. And my boy, man, I got to show you all did I have it here? My boy Kemar, right? I ain't get it lined up now, but I'm going to show you it later. I got to pay tribute to Kemar. Because Kemar Roach, incidentally, he'll be celebrating a birth anniversary tomorrow. Is one of the, I got to know Kemar. I consider Kemar a friend, and Kemar is one of the most humble persons you can meet. Very, very humble, very respectful guy, and so on. So Kemar yesterday attained the feat of 300 test wickets, which put him right up there in terms of West Indies. The only people I think is Courtney Walsh. I made a note. Courtney Walsh has 519. Then you have Ambrose 405, Marshall 376, Lance Gibbs 309, and then there it is, Kemar 300 wicket. There's a short interview with him this morning. I'll find some time and some space. I was unable to load any more videos on the platform because you're restricted in terms of the number of videos. So Kemar, congratulations to Kemar. I'll have to reach out to him later in the day. Congratulations to Kemar on attaining 300 test wickets. And it wasn't an easy feat for him because he had injury issues and all of that, but he managed to overcome all of those things, and now he's there at number 5 in West Indies. And Gibbs is what? Gibbs us 309, and no doubt if Kemar continues for this series, and it has to do how he cares his body, and he praised the physio. I'm going to play it later. He praised the physio, Dennis Byam, the Dr. Dennis Byam from St. Vincent. He praised him because when you are a fast bowler at them age, you got to get a good physiotherapist to keep you going. Good physiotherapist to give you your ice bath, to give you your massage, and a good, well, not the massage, but to treat you and so on. So, Kemar, congratulations. Congratulations. And then we had a test match yesterday with New Zealand and England, and as I had predicted, New Zealand won, and some controversy in the English cricket. Ben Stokes resigned or retired from all international cricket yesterday. In the middle of the test, he resigned. You know, he missed the test before. They won at the Oval. He missed that because he had some disciplinary issue where he and another player had some brawl or something in some pub. But that was not Ben Stokes' first rodeo. So apparently, whatever happened, he decided to chuck, and he indicated that he is finished with test cricket. So that's the cricket yesterday. And then we have, somebody is telling me Australia and West Indies will play the female game. Australia and West Indies will play in the semi-final tomorrow, right? Gary said, and Gary reminded me, the 75-76 series, West Indies lost 5-1. I was saying 4-1. West Indies lost 5-1 in that series. And I always remember in them days, I had the TSU, 75 Young Police. We got a radio, Idi Amin. Allen 78, 70, Allen had a blue radio in the wing at the B dormitory of C dormitory, ABC dormitory of TSU. And we used to lay down around there, we listened to cricket. We listened to cricket all night on that radio. We call them United TV. And I will never forget when Roy Clinton Fredericks cut loose against Lily and Thompson, man. Lily was paced like fire onto his hook and pull and all of that with Fredericks. One of the greatest innings that they had on that series, right? So let me move on. Sports still, FIFA World Cup. Yesterday, the knockout stage. The real thing started. The real FIFA football started. Yesterday, they had a game with Canada and South Africa. And I was saying that this game, how the game was played, I don't think it was all exciting. But I was telling people that any team that scored a goal can win. How the game was going. Any team that scored a goal. And in injury time, that was a heartbreaker because I guess they were preparing for extra time and perhaps penalty shootout. And in injury time, because when the 90 minutes finished, I think they added 5 minutes. Injury time. They don't call it extra time, but there's injury time. Extra time is if you go into the additional 30 minutes. And like about 2 minutes plus into the injury time, man scored a beautiful goal. Beautiful goal, right? Somebody saying what? West Indies was a powerhouse between 19... What you are saying, man? Come with records. Who they beat 1963 and 1966? What powerhouse? Who did they defeat in that period of time? Who did West Indies defeat? How many teams they defeated in that period, 1963, 66 to set their power? Yeah, they had a few victories, no doubt, but they were not powerhouse. You can't call them powerhouse in that era. The era of West Indies being a powerhouse came under Clive Lloyd. Clive Hubert Lloyd, Guyanese Sir Clive Hubert Lloyd. So, are you come good with your thing, yeah? West Indies was no, check the records, and tell me how many test matches West Indies played between 63 and 66, how many they lost, how many they won. Then you're going to decide and tell me if they were a powerhouse. So don't come and use this powerhouse term just so loosely. So this afternoon, I'm going to let you out a little early because at 1 o'clock this afternoon, we have Brazil playing Japan. There's a game that I know you don't want to miss, right? A game you don't want to miss. But let me go into some of the main stuff here now. I told you about the death of this man. We told you was Friday. We reported on the murder of this woman, they call her Goat Girl, found dead floating in some trench. They found her floating in some trench, right? And then the police arrested her husband. Because I think the people saying, I showed the video on Friday, where he was abusive to the woman and so on. Police arrested him, had him in custody. The report is saying that at some stage he was taken to the hospital for whatever reason. He may have complained about being unwell. And then he was then taken back to the station. And they find he dead. They say he hanged himself in the police station. He hanged himself in the police lockups. He hanged himself in the police lockup Saturday, Sunday. I'm not sure which day it was. But let me say this. It is very alarming, the number of prisoners who have died in police lockups over the past year or so. The number of prisoners who have died in the lockups. I remember the one at Letem, where they said the man hung himself in the Bokta. Remember that? Man hung himself in the Bokta. They had one at Bobby's, I think, on the quarantine there, they had one. At Wim, somewhere there. You had this boy at Covanjan, right? Otis, called Jaja at Covanjan. You had then you had this one. I get more. And let me say this, because I see somebody write about the Commander Pajram, Khalil Pajram, Assistant Commissioner. But hey, you got to go and bathe in blue water, because like you can get locked. In 2019, I remember that well, when you were commander of G Division, Essequibo Coast, the man, I get the name, Lal Bachan, died in the lockups there. You were the commander. Following that investigation, I was at the Police Service Commission then, which was supervised at the Police Complaints Authority. The Complaints Authority then, Justice Ramlal, wrote a very damning report. He indicted the magistrate, he indicted the commander, he indicted a whole set of people. And at the end of that matter, I remember it very, very well. Because the man was taken into the lockup for some traffic thing. And the man family complained, the police wanted the money, and they didn't give the money, so they lock you up. And they claimed that he was badly beaten in the lockup. Ranks at the station who were upstairs gave statement to say they heard this man hollering and swan downstairs in the lockup. Police beating him for whatever reason, I don't know. That was the allegation. But then there was a female on duty, female special counsel on duty. And she decided that she can try for cover for what go on. She was the custodian of the lockup ski, and she gave statement and held out to say that, look, nobody didn't go in there and beat this man. She had the lockup key all the time. You know what the Complaints Authority concluded based on that? The Complaints Authority concluded that if this man was placed on the lockup and you being the person in charge of the station was in custody of the keys all the time, and the evidence showed that the man was beaten, the found evidence in the lockup that the man was beaten and the man died, you must have been the person who inflicted those injuries. They end up charging she with manslaughter, you know. I don't know if you remember them things, Pastor. They end up charging her with manslaughter. And we all know that based on what transpired, that she wasn't involved. But she decided she can cover. She decided she can cover for those who were involved, and she's the person who ended up getting charged with manslaughter. I don't know how that matter ended, but I remember that report well. I have a copy somewhere on some drive from the Complaints Authority. The Complaints Authority made some terrible comments in terms of the command exercise by the commander, and he also put some good lashing in because he had recommended that a disciplinary investigation be conducted against Pasram. And the Police Service Commission delegated the authority to Ikin to conduct that disciplinary inquiry. And Ikin write us at he write us condemn bond. He didn't write it. He got somebody to write us at it and decide to quote us at legal terms and so on to the Complaints Authority, who's a retired judge. But Ramlal put some lash in that thing there. I get it some lash. And I know, let me tell you this, that report, that damning report from Lamlal, a copy was sent to the president, Irfan Ali, because prior to that thing, the Complaints Authority came under the Ministry of Home Affairs, and then the government moved it and put the Complaints Authority under the president. So when the report was written by Mr. Ramlal, God rest the dead, a copy was sent to the president. Copy was also sent to the police commissioner with recommendations as to how the king should be treated, but what they don't do nothing. They may do nothing. Let them come challenge me. I can pull out I can do the research and pull out the copy of the report. I have it on a flash drive someplace. Pull out the copy. Right? Skating, but nothing can happen. So Parasham was there. But I remember it was around this time of the year, 2019, because when this thing happened, Pasram was in Georgetown for the 4th anniversary church service. He was not here for the 4th service. But lack of experience was exposed because the people call them, man, they're in the lockup, they don't ever cover up, they got to do one thing and it's give a course. And then they call the commander and they give the commander a salawala, and the commander fall for the salawala. And as I said, Ramlal put some lash in for that thing. And then the same year, 2019, a man named Stephen Smith, who was remanded, and he was in police custody at the same study, pending transportation to the prison. The man killed himself in the lockup. Pastor, they got no luck. Then Pastor, East Coast, Covanjan, recently, this guy, what he named Otis Spain, Carl Jaja, died in the lockup. They remember the story, big story, where the man died with some ulcerated or ruptured stomach or something. That's so long, a month or two ago. That was just when it happened. That was in March this year. Pasram again in charge. But in fairness to Pasram, on the date of the death, he was out for something, and I think it was Dennis Stevens was holding on for him. But he was the commander, he was a substantive commander. Now Pasram get transferred to Region 3. Pasram get transferred to Region 3, and now Iman Kumar Mohammed, that's what the man named, hang himself in the lockup. Person go and bathe in blue water. Go bathe in blue water. Ola puja. Something is wrong. Them thing following you, something wrong, buddy. And coming back to that, right? Now, let me tell you this. There's a standing order number 73 of the Guyana Police Force, deals with how prisoners are to be dealt with. That standing order is one of the lengthy ones, and it is extremely comprehensive. It deals with every aspect of how prisoners should be treated and dealt with, every aspect. But well, these things are not taught to the police. They just come in there. How many of them, including the commanders, can tell you anything substantial about the Standing Order 73? How many of them? Deal with such a prisoner, deal with the whole gamut how prisoners are to be dealt with. They aren't dealing with that. And this man who died in the lockup over the weekend here, now come from the hospital. Well, we're going to hear, if they haven't said yet, you're going to hear OPR investigating. That's what we're going to hear. That is a standard thing. That is a default position. OPR will investigate. But there are many, many questions to be asked, because the fact that this man was taken to the hospital and come back, the standing order spells out how this person should be treated. They even say if a man is drunk, appears to be intoxicated, you have to visit him every hour. And in some cases, every half an hour. You have got to make an entry in the diary. You have to make an entry in the prisoner's charge sheet. They even tell you that if the man appeared intoxicated, you don't need visit. You have to go and try to talk to him. Try to talk to him. All of that is being in the standing order. But what happened? Them things are not taught to the police rank. And then it boggles the mind that these things can happen at the station with such alarming frequency. Given the number of, and I put this in quotes, supervisors they're supposed to have, is only just over a year ago, just under a year ago, the president promoted 2,800 people. So you're going to get no station, let me say, no station should have a shift where you don't have a corporal or a sergeant in charge. They get more sergeant and corporal than maybe constables, or just as many. That's what you have. If you bring in Lance Corporal, every single shift should have somebody of supervisory rank. But they just promote them, forget vote, then train them, they may know nothing. I'm talking about the standing order. Who will forget? In 2021, I think it was, when they charged me, Conway, and others for conspiracy to commit fraud, because we were asked to revise the standing order. And we did, and let me tell you this, it is there. I have a copy of some of the recommendations made. Comprehensive. But they're not set up. The government wanted Conway, me and Conway have the commission. And let me give you a little background to that thing. Robeson Shoot and Scoot Band went to Parliament in 2021 and announced that the $300 million were missing from the police finance office. The record is there. Robeson Band announced that in Parliament. Check the answers. I get the record and all that. And based on that, SOCU, headed by Karimbash, was directed to conduct an investigation. They swooped down on the police finance office, seized a lot of records and so on. And in going through those records, they saw that members of the Standing Order Committee, which I was a part of, including Mr. Conway, deceased, including Ivla Whitaker, Mark Gilbert, and George Fraser, they saw that we were paid a stipend. And Nandalal jumped on issues in the news. Oh, if you hear it, oh, they are members of the commission and they take stipend for do the standing order. That is a conflict of interest. That is immoral. But Nandalal talk about immorality. Nandalal talk all sort of things. And based on that, they decide they're going to charge us, along with some serving and other retired policemen, for conspiracy to commit fraud. Because they say us accepting money, right, accepting the stipend is a conspiracy to commit fraud. The matter dismissed since how many years ago. During the trial, Calvin Brutus, that same Calvin Brutus, who facing 260-something criminal charges now, said that the force had engaged with the University of Guyana to revise the police standing order. Right? Because the right to say, including the one with the long, should time coming to say there was no need for the standing order to be revised and all sort of crap to say. But it's not our call. The police commissioner called us and asked us to revise the standing order. So if you want to say the standing order should not have been revised, you got to deal with the commissioner, Mr. James, not the people we called. But they do all kind of thing. All kind of thing, right? All right. They say since 2021, Brutus made that announcement. How they had engaged or they had contracted with the University of Guyana to revise the police standing order. This is 2026. This is 2026. And I said then, and I'm saying again, no university, no lawyer, them people can't revise a police standing order. Police standing order requires police knowledge. Yes, they're going to come, they're going to put proper language and so on. The lawyers are going to speak about what the law says and so on. But a police standing order goes far beyond that. Far beyond what only the law says. It talks about police procedures and all these things. Very comprehensive document, but they wanted to get us off, you know? So have the commission said they bring trumped up charge. They use Mark Phillips, lying Mark Phillips. They use to write me letter, 2 letters to show cause why we should not be removed from the Police Service Commission. And that is what you get now. So you have the standing order. You have the standing order. Because even if they come and say they had employed specialists from the special project unit and they had done work, what they do? What work they did? They did no work. They look at the language and maybe where they were typos and so on, they corrected the typos and so on, and then they wanted to pin that on us. But the records are there of the work we did. But they're going to accept it because that is how they are. That is. Oh, you're still getting prisoners dying in the lockups. And let me say, prisoners have committed suicide in police lockup from ever long. But we're looking now at the frequency. We're looking at the frequency of these incidents. Something must be wrong. Something must be wrong. And then they go to the extreme now, where, as in the case of Perfect Harmony a few weeks ago, a man who suffering from some illness, who ought not to be exposed to the cold, they stripped him naked and put him in the lockup. Stripped him naked and put him in. So that is the next extreme. They stripped him naked. But if they have experienced commanders and experienced people dealing in the division, you know how they ought to know how a prisoner who is suspected to be suicidal or who is suspected to likely to harm himself, how those persons are dealt with. They ought to know that, how they are dealt with. But what we get now? We get a lot of commandos, and because you have commandos, that is the problem that you have. Again, I say, it is about the frequency of these incidents occurring, the frequency. And they're going to tell you OPR investigating. They're going to also, by now, since yesterday or one, they're joking the books. They're going to see the joke in the book. For say they visit the prisoner. You all sort of magic. Now Drake going to come. It's all sort of magic going to happen. All sort of magic. All the necessary entries as required by the standing order would not have been there. Because there's no way, if you had followed the standing order, the man would have been able to hang himself and you end it. No way. No way. But that is what you have. In the JA police force, the JAH, Jagdeo, Ali, and Akin police force, the JA, I call it the JA police force, that is what is happening. That is what is happening. And you know, in a related matter, today is the 29th day of June, 2026. Yesterday was the 28th. Yesterday was the anniversary of the decision handed down by the Honorable Chief Justice Acting, Madam Roxanne George, in the matter where Brutus, Calvin Brutus, that same Brutus, sued the Police Service Commission because he wasn't being considered for promotion. He was joined by Jupiter, Shavan Jupiter. He was joined by Prem Narain. He was joined by Shipusad Bakas. He was joined by Rabindranath Stanley. Others had also joined. I can't remember the name. I don't call the name without the confirmation. They joined him. They joined Brutus. And on the 28th of June, 2021, the Chief Justice handed down the decision and struck out the challenge they brought. Because one of the contention is that disciplinary action should not be considered, pending disciplinary action should not be considered when people are, when promotion is being considered. Imagine that. Imagine that is one of the argument. And then Brutus had the argument to say that his matter was a trivial matter. That is what Brutus said. Me and no police and the Police Act or the Police Discipline Act get minor matters and serious matters. All are disciplinary matters, all. So the Chief Justice made the ruling on the 28th day of June 2021. I remember that very, very well. I was working in Grenada at the time, following the matter online. And from the time the Chief Justice made the decision, the promotion which was held up, because I remember back in December 2020, the Chief Justice has issued an injunction. They didn't call it that, but he said the status quo should remain, which is basically an injunction to prevent the Police Service Commission from making promotions. So once that was thrown out, once they lost the case, the promotions were released. Same day, 28th of June, promotions were released by the Police Service Commission. On the night of the 29th, tonight is the anniversary, on the night of the 29th of June, 2021, Anil Nandlal, SC, MP, went on NCN, his program Issues in the News, and he announced that the government would not recognize the promotions made by the constitutional body, the Police Service Commission. Nandlal, on the night of the 29th of June, 2021, and up to day like today, this government, this corrupt, incompetent government has not recognized many of those, all of the promotions they have not recognized. Some people did get promoted after. Some people retired without getting the promotion and therefore the consequential benefits and so on. That is what you have with these people who call themselves government. Gang of gangsters, 29th of June, and he made some other comments directed against me, right, which I felt were threatening. And I made a report to the police and nothing happened. I made a report on the 15th of October 2021, accompanied by Attorney at Law Selwyn Peters and the late Clinton Conway to break down. I provided them with a statement. I provided them with a transcript of the offending program. And what happened? Nothing happened. And they talk about one guy. And one guy, yes, it's for y'all, but your time numbered. Gonna sleep, like ugly. Y'all time numbered. So I got keep reminding y'all about these things. So it was on the 28th of June, the Chief Justice made that thing. On the 28th of June, 2021. And then the very next night, the 29th, Nandlal went on NCN on Issues in the News, and he said all sort of thing. Mouth run like when sick nigga drink salts. Right? That is what happened. That is what happened then. But as I said, I gotta keep reminding you. But before I go off of that, I said, Pajram, that's something by. Go bathe with blue water. I think you are a Hindu, so maybe old Kali or Ola Kali Mai Puja or something like that. Because evilness, wickedness, right? But all sort of things following you, man. Bad luck following you. Because people have said, oh, well, it's the commander. And then the commander is not supposed to be, he's not expected to be at the station and to guard the prison. Yeah, but I got something called vicarious liability. When you're in charge of everything. And if things are going wrong under you, you can't blame them under you. You got to examine the entire system to see where perhaps changes have to be made. I spoke about the standing order. When last are you only instruction class and emphasize specific aspects of various standing orders? 73 deals with prisoners. When last? Do they even know of the standing order or what it is? That is part of the problem. That is part of the problem. Lack of command and control. Lack of command. When these things are happening under you, you can absolve, you can distance yourself from it. After all, it is your command. And it reflects on you when these things are happening. By extension, it reflects on the commissioner of police. When you have all these people dying in the lockups and you're silent, cat eat tongue. And that is reciprocity. When cat eat tongue, is reciprocity. Because he eat cat eat back his tongue. That is reciprocity. Right? That is it. So let me move on Let me move on. Then we have, well, of course, I tell you all that we had the matter with the policeman who shot and killed the Cuban national. Well, let's say he confessed, and he's now charged with murder. He confessed. We were told that before that he confessed. I read over the weekend, maybe it's Friday or whatever. They say he charged. I don't know if he has appeared in court, but you can charge and maybe he can appear in court this morning for murdering that woman, where they say he used a teddy bear in an effort to silence the sound of the pistol, the unlawful, the illegal pistol that he used. A 20-year-old constable in the Guyana police force had an illegal firearm, and they say he owns a car. He was the owner. He put you in the car. He killed her in the car. And let me say this. Let me remind you all or inform you. This thing we talk about confession, I don't know what evidence y'all get. Because the man say he chose the teddy bear. I hope y'all find the teddy bear. If that woman, as he said, was killed in the car, you have to have trace evidence there. You have to have trace and other evidence there. They say he cleaned the car with sanitizer. You shoot a woman and she had in the car. You want to tell me blood and thing in there, you know? Yeah, microscopic evidence is not there. But you know they're gonna go with this thing. Find the gun. That is a key piece of evidence. The man tell you all he showed the gun. Send for Iken. Iken has a way of finding guns when they're thrown in trenches. Just some type of special radar or something. Find him and the gun is very, very important piece of evidence in this matter. Find the gun. Find the gun. And investigate it further. It's also other people that bring in the force. I told you all last week they brought in a man who was a con man. The man was conning people, say he's a doctor. Working somewhere with stethoscope, I think it was somewhere in one of them, can't remember the exact place, with stethoscope and that sort of thing. Charge and the man in the police force. My information is he's still in the force. He's still in the force. I'm surprised he's not a superintendent or assistant commissioner by now. Because I said before, and I'm repeating it here for emphasis, that yeah, everybody in this life perhaps deserve a second chance and even a third chance. But once you commit certain acts, the second chance can't be in the police force. Once you commit certain acts, the second chance that you're entitled or perhaps you should get cannot be as a member of the Guyana Police Force. I said that, and I don't care who said what else. That is my view. Now, let me move on. There is a video circulating. I don't have it here to show, but it's a video circulating with a man assaulting a woman, fly kick, and all them type of thing. I hope that the police by now have been able to find this man, you know. I hope that the police have been able to find him. You see this man brutalizing this woman, fly kicking and thing and that. And old people would say, I hope he put the foot where he kicked the woman with rotten off. I don't know what, I don't know them, I don't know what would have caused him to do that, but nothing like that, nothing can justify what is being circulated on social media. With this man fly kicking like Wang Yu. Then them old time Chinese picture man, like Wang Yu and them fly kicking this woman, then stamping shit and so on. I hope he foot rotten off. I hope he foot rotten off. Right? Them domestic violence that you get, the frequency of domestic violence, this thing has got to be nipped in the bud. And you know, again, this is another case. The man violently attacking this woman, and people videoing it, you know, they're videoing it. I don't know if anybody intervened. People videoing it. I'm not saying that intervention is an easy thing, but the whole story is, if we as a society decide that all we can do is record and not intervene in a way to prevent something like that, something wrong. I don't know if they call 911. I don't know what it is. I don't know what, but the man is seen doing all of those things. So I thought I'll talk about it. Now, let me move on to this other matter. And I'm talking here now about the 16-year-old boy that was killed there last week. Well, the 16 Altav King. Now, there are some very disturbing allegations coming out after that. And I've confirmed some of them. Because following this incident, we see picture, you know the usual thing, Commander Chief Musad Bakas gone with the family and they're expressing thoughts and prayers and condolences. But look, Look, I must chase these people out to the blasted place, yeah? Chase them. Because the very day when this incident occurred, it is alleged that Bacchus, this is the allegation, Bacchus the commander, Chief Prasad Bacchus the commander, it is alleged that he ordered them to search the premises and the person of these two people who were witnesses, people who said they saw what happened. They searched them, and it is alleged, and that is the allegation, that they put little weed on them, or they find little weed on them. One man locked up at Springlands police station, the other one locked up at 51 police station, and they were being coerced. That is the allegation. They were being coerced into giving statement to support the police version of what transpired. And the men holding out, now there's no happen, and we ain't gonna say that, no. And what happened them? Spend some time in the lockup. One man, I think the man at Springlands, my sources told me, was eventually released on $20,000 bail, and the one at 51 was kept there for some extended period. Long after that, people who witnessed the police chasing this young man on the motorcycle, and they come out, when I look at the some of the comments and so on, they're saying, no, thing, why you rode away? That is beside the point. A young man and anybody on a motorcycle, for that matter, decide police driver stop him and ride away. For police to have chased after him recklessly, because the information is this is one of them strip. This is not one of the strip, them concrete strip where the government make and call them road. This is not public road with a white space. And I said, to chase a motorcyclist, to use a vehicle, a four-wheel vehicle, to chase a motorcyclist on such a narrow strip that they call road is prima facie recklessness. It's inherently reckless to do that. Some allegation that the police vehicle braced the man. I saw some place people saying, well, if you do a proper investigation, if the police vehicle indeed braced young King, then you're gonna should get evidence on the police vehicle. And I said, not necessarily so. Not necessarily so. The police vehicle could have even touched him, touch the handle, touch E, and cause him to lose control. And you're not necessarily going to get marks on the police vehicle to substantiate that. But for the police vehicle to have driven behind him, and whether you twist it or turn it, the road is narrow. The road is narrow. I don't believe that the police could have easily and safely overtaken that motorcycle on that narrow road. So the man lost control. That is what they said. He drove into the post and he died. The police left him there. The video is there, I get the video. But the thing is so damn gruesome, I'm not going to show it. The police left him there. Apparently they got into panic mode. You see one of the foot broke. One of the man's foot break. The boy, not some man, one of the foot break. Lying there. And from the time I saw him lying there, I said, it's a dead man. I look at the man and they then picked him up and put him in the back of the vehicle. Picked him up and put in no consideration for the fact that this man, well, maybe they knew that the man had already died because he looked dead from that video. He looked there, blood all over the place. He looked like if he was dead. So maybe they handled him in that manner because they were convinced that he had already died. That is what you have that is what you're going to have. And as I've said, they're going to run to the family. They're going to talk about thoughts and prayers. And they're going to say, as they have said, OPR will investigate. Again, OPR, everything is OPR and investigate and nothing. They haven't, as far as I'm concerned, but I have not heard them saying, I don't expect them to say it publicly at least, who the persons were, the policemen, how many policemen were there, even if they don't identify them by name. They ought to be able to say that this patrol consists of so many ranks. Headed by a corporal, headed by a sergeant. Who was the driver? It has been alleged that the driver knew Altaf King, that lived nearby. The driver, they might have had some encounter before. So that makes it even clearer that there was no need for any pursuit. You see him riding on the thing and so on. You're not going to chase him down, causing him to die. Don't have to do that. But what will happen? Nothing really. They're going to jump around and they're going to say all something because they already start to tell, oh, the witnesses are drugs. So they try to discredit the witnesses. Let me assume for argument's sake, there are drugs on them. The witnesses, that is. Does that mean that they can't tell you the truth that transpired? They can't tell you what transpired? But the reason for arresting them, in my view, was to try to intimidate them. And I had people reach out to me earlier, and I said, I make sure their statement from the people, not necessarily what the police can tell, not necessarily what the police statement will say. So I don't know what they have done so far with this matter. But like everything else, this is going to be another couple of days in the news, and then they're going to die away. The policemen are still there to do whatever they want to do. And that is part of the problem. Minister, no accountability. Just as how you have not been held accountable, as far as we know, with your son taking the government vehicle and damaging the vehicle. Same thing. No accountability. And that is something that is repeating itself. Ranks are committing themselves and they are not held accountable. And for them who just jump up and talk, again, I say, from ever long, even when I was in the force, you had errant ranks. You had ranks who will violate the Discipline Act, who will break the law, but the case is how they were dealt with. How they were dealt with, the disciplinary code and all of that. And part of the problem they have now, and this is directed to the minister and the commission and the president. The police officers that you have, a large percentage, the larger percentage of them, do not know how to conduct a disciplinary inquiry. That do not. And take it from me, because I used to lecture on